Welcome.
And now I'm recording.
All right.
All right.
You need
No,
to
I know, I
see
just
this? You
wanted
wanna
So
go-
we have people entering the room.
Go see if you can.
So far,
Mhm.
welcome
You
to
can
the
say or not.
25 guests that we have. 31, 32. All right, so we have everyone's joining us now. So Vita, if you can kick us off.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Juneteenth Lunch and Learn today. So welcome. Thank you for joining us for what we know will be an incredible conversation today with some of Suffolk County's amazing leaders. The Department of Human Resources, Personnel, and Civil Service is engaged in an ongoing effort to support and nurture a diverse and inclusive workforce and develop Suffolk County as an organization and place where people prefer to live, work, play, learn, and raise families for generations to come. We know that our employees are some of the best in the county, and we hope, and our hope is that you get a chance to learn more about each other through this programming and the future employee engagement activities that are to come. We thank Personnel Officer Tom Melito for his leadership, and we are especially grateful to our County Executive, Steve Ballone, for his inspirational vision to make Suffolk County the employer of choice. I am Evita Marrow. I serve as the Diversity and Inclusion Program Manager. I have the wonderful opportunity to work under the tutelage of our Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, Retha Fernandez. So thank you, Retha, for putting this together. Also, thank you to the committee for putting this together. So this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. So again, this is our Juneteenth Lunch and Learn. So on June 19th or Juneteenth, it is a nationally recognized holiday to commemorate the emancipation of the enslaved in America. So let's start our conversation with what will be an enlightening message for all of us with our Deputy Police Commissioner, Risco Minchin-Lewis, which will be followed by a panel discussion with our colleagues. So Risco Minchin-Lewis, I'm going to read her bio for you. In August 2012, Minchin-Lewis was appointed by County Executive Steve Ballone to the position of Deputy Police Commissioner, making her not only the first female to hold the position, but also the first person of color. She commands the Community Relation Bureau, and her work entails building strong police and community partnerships through an enhanced community relations approach. She began her legal career as a Nassau County Assistant District Attorney in 1993 in district court prosecuting misdemeanors, and later became an Assistant District Attorney in county court where she prosecuted felony cases. Commissioner Lewis has worked nationally with cities such as Chicago, Pittsburgh to develop re-entry initiatives in her jurisdictions. In her work at the Suffolk County Police Department, she has been instrumental in assisting with the development of the nationally recognized implicit bias training. DPC Minchin-Lewis and members of the Suffolk County Police Department were invited by the Department of Justice to train the Ferguson Police Department in implicit bias in 2019. DPC Minchin-Lewis was instrumental in the development of Suffolk County Police Department's police reform plan. She is an adjunct professor at Hofstra Law School, a member of New York University School of Law's Brennan Center for Justice Law Enforcement Leadership Group, and in 2015 was invited to the White House by then President Obama as a law enforcement leader to attend a meeting to discuss over-incarceration and sentencing reform. Commissioner Minchin Lewis received her Bachelor's of Arts degree in Criminal Justice and History at the University of Delaware in 1983 and earned her Juris Doctorate at Hofstra University School of Law in 1993. Thank you for joining us today, DPC Lewis.
Thank you very much. Exciting. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful opportunity. As Evita said, I am a history major, so I love history. And so this is a great honor to be asked to do this presentation. So let's begin. The question I was asked was, what does Juneteenth mean to me? As I ponder the idea of what Juneteenth means to me, my mind flows back over the timeline of American history, the timeline of those navigating life in Black skin. Come with me. Let's go backward in time from 2022 to the signing of the 1964 civil rights legislation that made illegal American apartheid in the fight for civil rights. Let's travel back to 1960, where a little girl, 6 years old, Ruby Bridges, is walking into the kindergarten for the first time, 4 guards standing all around her, agents, while the crowd yells and screams at her, threatens to poison her, throws obscenities at her, while she, held high with a little tiny lunchbox, walks into kindergarten for the first time. Now get on the bus, 1955, walk down the aisle and past the front, go to the back where you're required to be, pass a well-dressed woman whom you later learn is Rosa Parks, who sat. Let's go to 1950 when Brown Board of Education was decided, when a father and mother fought to have their children in a better school, dreaming of a better education, dreaming of little Ruby Bridges. Travel back to the 1900s, a beautiful town founded by those navigating life in Black skin, to Tulsa, Oklahoma, a town built around wealth of oil, with doctors, teachers, lawyers, movie theater. Walk down the streets and say hello to your neighbors navigating life in Black skin. Or to St. Louis, Missouri, or a number of other towns long forgotten. Look down the street of the thriving town, homes and lives, then watch them burn to the ground, never to be fully rebuilt. Let's go back past 1877 to the end of Reconstruction and the beginning of the Black Code, segregation, and American apartheid, ostensibly the end of equality for those navigating life in Black skin. But first, let's go back to hope, the hope of 1865. You see, in 1865 in Texas, troops walked in and told Black citizens or Black people, but enslaved, you are free. 2 years after Emancipation Proclamation, you see, because there were no cell phones, so nobody could get on the phone and say, hey, you're free. It took 2 years for troops to travel that far to give them freedom. So let's go back to 1865. Come on this journey with me, where I'm standing in a field in Texas looking over tobacco fields at troops as troops march toward me and those toiling beside me. Take this journey with me. Look around at the fields, look up at the sky, look out at the fearful and confused faces of those enslaved beside you. Do you see the Union troops marching up the dirt field? Do you see mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, and children? They're being told that they are free. But for them and you, they only know enslavement, as they were taken generations ago. Imagine standing in a field pulling tobacco leaves in your tattered clothes, never quite full belly. Maybe you knew where your mother was or child. Maybe they too were sold off long ago. Imagine looking out into that hot Texas sun, across the fields, blue sky above, blue waves of uniforms in front, at those who toiled beside you with incredulous eyes. Ask, should we believe? Should we go? And in that moment, you look around, some begin to rejoice, others stand in disbelief of freedom. As you decide to believe, to hope, Walk along the dirt road where you were not allowed to travel without a pass. Greeting others you were not allowed to visit or know. Imagine that day and the next. Then asking, where is my mother who was sold off? Where is my father? Where is my daughter? And what shall I do? There's no agency looking to reunite you, no funds to help, but you do leave those fields with an inheritance that was passed down from generation to generation. And that inheritance is hope. Let's get on the journey of those freed in 1865 from the tobacco fields, standing in disbelief of freedom. Let's put that in another light. Let's take another jump into time. I want you to remember the photos from your 7th grade history books, the stories of your grandparents. And now imagine the troops marching into the concentration camps and ghettos that held Jewish mothers, fathers, and children that survived the atrocities of World War II. Imagine the American troops coming into these places and announcing freedom to those who had been beaten, broken, and ripped from their families and all their belongings taken. Remember the history books? They too had to figure out what to do next, where to go. But thankfully for many, there were services, families looking for them. But for many, there was no one because they were all killed. Think about the disbelief of freedom. The disbelief of freedom. The Emancipation Proclamation of President Abraham Lincoln brought freedom and hope. Juneteenth celebration also means delayed freedom, 2 years, and maybe 300 years. It highlights the beginning of a journey, a long unpaved road to freedom. For Juneteenth means the journey to freedom of those navigating life in Black skin, the journey of my ancestors, my mother and father, my journey, and the journey of our children. It is a dream deferred and hope realized of our ancestors. So thank you for coming on this road with us today. This journey of those navigating life in Black skin, the journey of despair to fear, to hope and salvation. As we celebrate the events of Juneteenth in 2022, let us first reflect upon the pain, trauma, and suffering experienced in the journey of those navigating life in Black skin. From physical freedom to unfettered freedom, to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But oh yes, let's celebrate the journey of America, this great young nation filled with hope and promise. Yes, hope and promise. For as I ponder the idea of what Juneteenth means to me, my mind flows back over the timeline of American history, my history. I reflect back to 2012, when Suffolk saw its first Black deputy police commissioner, Briscoe Mention Lewis, and I was sworn in by County Executive Steve Ballone. I stand now in 2022 where Suffolk County has its first Black commissioner with Rodney Harrison. We all stand in this new time, this hope of America, where NYPD has its first female and Black commissioner. For Juneteenth means to me the journey to freedom of those navigating life in Black skin, the journey of my ancestors, my mother and father, my journey, and the journey of my children. It is the journey of hope of my ancestors. It is also your journey, as we are all writing the American journey. We all know the saying Maya Angelou said, you really can't know where you're going until you know where you came from. Maybe we are searching now as a nation because we never fully and truthfully looked at where we came from. So we are now trying to figure out where we're going. Many feel we have lost our way and the Republic is in trouble. They announce it on Facebook, on social media, the Republic is in trouble. They believe we are diabolically opposing sides on so many issues. But I say we are never in conflict with one another. We are as humans, and now as a nation, in conflict with ourselves, in conflict between who we used to be and who we are becoming. There's no going back, but how will we go forward is the question. There's a saying that a candle loses nothing by lighting another. This nation acknowledging the end of enslavement of humans, of its fellow citizens of this great nation is a lighting of a candle. The celebration of that freedom by the entire nation is a lighting of a candle. All of you choosing to be on this call today is a lighting of a candle. You sharing what you learned today with another is a lighting of a candle. If you too celebrate the release from 400 years of bondage from your fellow citizens who navigate life in Black skin, it is the lighting of a candle that others might also see. So share with them the understanding of Juneteenth, Emancipation Proclamation, 1963. In 1965, those people walking, toiling on the fields, and 2 years later, getting their freedom. We are changing as a nation, struggling, but we have survived much and thrived. Like the young nation that we are, know that we are in growing pains. So celebrate today and remember the time this nation was torn, split apart, and that split allowed for the birth of freedom for its citizen. And as we came back together not so long ago, we shall overcome and come back together again. So let's celebrate Juneteenth and remember our journey. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, DPC Lewis. Yes, for the word, the message. Thank you. I have chills. I don't know about anyone else, but I do. Thank you for the word. I so appreciate it. Thank you. And I think our viewers and audience and attendees can say the same.
I just ask that people, as you celebrate Juneteenth, Google it.
Yeah.
Everything's at the tip of our fingers, the history of those navigating life in Black skin and the history of America.
I agree. So what I'm going to do now is introduce some of our additional panelists that we have, and I'm going to read their bios as well. So I'm going to start with Reverend Roderick Pearson. So Reverend Pearson is the Suffolk County Executive Director of Community Services Division that includes Youth Bureau, Women's Services, and Minority Affairs. In the Office of County Executive Steve Ballone, and the founder and organizer of St. Mark Remnant Ministries Incorporation, which is located in Central Islip, New York. Pastor Pearson serves on several boards and is very active in numerous organizations across Suffolk County. He is a member of the Suffolk County Black Clergy Advisory Board, a former member of Suffolk County Creative Retirement Commission, former president of the Islip branch of the NAACP, former board member, treasurer of Urban League of Long Island Incorporation, and former president and founder of Islip Alliance of Ministries. Pastor Pearson is a graduate of Fordham University, where he obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in mathematics and economics, and received his formal religious and Bible training at New York School of the Bible, New York, and Brownsville Community Baptist Church Bible Institute in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome, Pastor Pearson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome.
Yes.
I just want to correct and update that resume or that bio that I'm just the Director of Minority Affairs currently and the Youth Bureau. And so just wanted to correct that and get you more updated. In keeping with Deputy Police Commissioner's theme of lighting a candle, the scripture says, "Let your light so shine before men that they might see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." And so that's what we're doing today, letting our light shine, sharing our experience, sharing our journey, the African journey that starts not from Charleston, South Carolina, or not from the shores of the United States, but our journey starts from an African rich nation, full of richness and minerals and diamonds, and full of leaders, and some believe the beginning of civilization as we know it today. And so I'm honored to be a part of this panel, to be a part of this discussion. Am I supposed to answer that? What is, or am I waiting?
So let me just introduce Portia and Alonzo, and then we'll get into the panelist question.
Thank you. So thank you for this honor to serve today. Thank you for this moment. You got to be careful when you give a preacher a microphone. So God bless.
Thank you. So next up, we have the lovely Portia Ingram. So Portia Ingram has been with the county for 2.5 years and currently works in the Smart Start Suffolk initiative. Portia also serves on the New York State Association of Counties Standing Committee for Children with Special Needs and the Standing Committee for Public and Mental Health. Portia received her bachelor's in communication sciences and disorders from Temple University and her master's in disability studies from CUNY School of Professional Studies. Welcome, Ms. Portia.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Alonzo Cook. Alonzo Cook works at the Suffolk County Department of Labor, Licensing and Consumer Affairs as a labor specialist 1 and has been with the county for nearly 2 years. He currently serves as a community ambassador with the Community-Based Initiative Unit. In addition to his work at the county, Alonzo has also been an adjunct professor at St. Joseph's University, formerly St. Joseph's College, for nearly 15 years, serving as a faculty member for the Weekend College Bachelor's Degree Program. Alonzo also runs his own training and consulting company and is a proud military veteran, having been a soldier in the New York Army National Guard and the United States Army Reserve, rising to the rank of first lieutenant before completing his enlistment with an honorable discharge. Also, I do apologize, excuse me. Alonzo earned his associate's degree in business administration from Suffolk County Community College and earned both his bachelor's degree in organizational management and his executive MBA, Master's of Business Administration degree from St. Joseph's University, New York, formerly St. Joseph's College. Thank you, Alonzo, for your service and welcome.
Thank you so much, Avita. Very nice to be here. I'd like to thank you. And I would like to thank Retha also for inviting me to be a panelist today. This is exciting, and I'm very happy to be a part of this panel. And hopefully we can share some information that people will be enlightened by, and they can come away from this with new information and new goals and new objectives to do something about what they've learned today. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome, everyone. So, I want this program to be an opportunity for our attendees and our audience to learn. I'm looking forward to the conversation, an organic conversation, a dialogue where, yes, we have a set of questions, but I want us to engage in conversation. At the end, we will allow participants to utilize the Q&A box that is available. So let's get started. So I think DPC mentioned Lewis kind of started the trail, right, of the first question, right, what Juneteenth means to you. But what we're going to do is actually, let's start with the first one question that we have. When did you first learn about the Juneteenth holiday? Okay, were you in school? Was it grade school, college level? What level were you at? And was it from a friend, a family member? And I just want everyone to have an opportunity to share their story. So let's start with DPC mentioned Lewis. Do you want to add anything to that question or answer?
My apologies. I had a little bit of a side I had to take care of.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't hear the question.
Okay. So when did
My
you
apologies.
first, no worries at all. When did you first learn about the Juneteenth holiday? Were you in school? What grade or level? Was it from a friend or family member?
I have no idea. I know it's post-college,
Okay.
but I'm always Googling history. Like, thank God for Google. Like now I do research, so I can't tell you when. I can't tell if I just learned about it on my own, or I heard the name. I really can't tell you. But it's amazing that it's a holiday. That's the most amazing part right now,
Right.
right?
After all this time, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So next we'll go to Reverend Pearson.
So I learned about Juneteenth as an adult. I had not had any prior history lessons in school, definitely not. Had not gone through my young adult life and heard. It was only after I became involved in the NAACP and the work of NAACP. NAACP, the oldest and largest civil rights organization in the world, celebrated Juneteenth every year. And we celebrated with a Jubilee celebration. It was always in a church. And it was a worship kind of a celebration. And that's when I became part of that organization and later became president of the Islip branch. And we celebrated Juneteenth on an annual basis. There's a woman by the name of Sarah who taught every year Juneteenth. And that's when I learned it as an adult.
Thank you for sharing. Portia?
So I believe I was in my late teens when I learned about Juneteenth, but it wasn't until I was in college that I understood Juneteenth. So I would say that there's a distinction there. We know that we were taught when slavery ended, but then we were taught that not everybody knew it was over. And then there is the cultural significance of Juneteenth. So yeah, I would say I didn't really grasp that until my 20s.
Thank you. Alonzo?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting question. And I have to say, and I'm actually almost kind of embarrassed to say, very similar to Reverend Pearson, that I had not had knowledge or the background or the history of Juneteenth until I was an adult, and after I was asked to be a panelist here today, I really kind of decided to delve into this information, right? And ask myself the why. Well, why hadn't I heard about that? Or why is it that so many people that I know or grew up with or am related to had no information about this, right? And so leading up to this event today, I really decided to talk to different people that I know, friends, family, and find out, why is it that I didn't know, or why don't they know? And I really thought about the history and myself growing up, right? And I can honestly say in school, from the time I was in preschool until senior year in high school, I was never taught anything about Juneteenth. I don't know if the word was mentioned. And I started to think about that and wonder to myself, was that intentional? Was there an intentional decision made to remove that from the curriculum? Did someone sit down and say, hey, this is not important enough to teach? It's not significant enough? I don't know. But that's a part of, my thought process. And as I got older, came into the knowledge of it. But as a youngster, no information, no history at all. But I'm glad that I have a lot more knowledge now, and I plan to share it.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So the next question, what personal significance does the holiday have for you? And let's switch it up a bit. Reverend Pearson, would you like to share first?
So the holiday basically is a celebration of freedom. The last part of the freedom of Black people from slavery in Texas. What's reflective for me for this holiday is that we have accomplished great things.
Mhm.
We've had a president of the United States that was African American. We have more leaders in the African American ancestry now that are in political offices. This county, Suffolk County, has more African American in leadership positions than any county I know. And so for us, it is a celebration of accomplishments, but it's also a reminder that there's still some unfinished business. And I'll talk about that later, but there's still disparities amongst education. There's still disparities. There's still glass ceilings. There's still discrimination and racism. And so while Martin King talks about being handed a document, that document turned into a bad check because we have not received all the funds that we should be receiving in our communities. But great things have been done. And so we celebrate those great things, but we reflect on the business that's still at hand.
Thank you. Anyone want to jump in and share what personal significance does the holiday have for them?
I'll jump in, sure. I would say that it has significance to me personally because of my ancestry, right? And the line of ancestry that I come from. This has a lot of significance to me because this is who I am and this is where I have come from. So it means a lot to me. So I see this as a story of liberation and triumph, right? So liberation, freedom, and then triumph and new opportunities. And our new opportunities to do things, learn things, and to become the real American that we always should have been, right? Again, it's freedom that was delayed, but not denied.
Yeah.
And I think DPC mentioned that earlier, which was so poignant. Delayed, but not denied. So I think about this and I think about all the different opportunities that are available to me now because of what people went through that came before me, right? Their perseverance, their strength, their faith that came before me. And so now I owe a debt of gratitude to them because they fought the real fight. And now I can do what I do today because of what they have done coming before me. And I'm very proud to do so. Thank
you.
For me, Juneteenth is it's kind of funny because I'm in the end of my journey in a sense. I started my career a long time ago. I'm 61 and I'm really looking toward retirement. Like it's knocking on my door and I'm opening it. But anyway, so you know what? Every morning when I get ready in the morning, I play, and I suggest that all of you Google the song and play it. It's Harriet from the movie Harriet. Watch the movie. Stand Up. Every morning I play that song to remind myself of Harriet Tubman's journey, right? That she went back and freed people. And I kind of look at my work as the Deputy Police Commissioner that way. My job is to look at traffic stop data so that Blacks aren't stopped more than others, and to look at the data and have our department look at the data and change the way we police so that those navigating life in Black skin can travel on these roads freely, right? Just as free as anyone else, equally ticketed or not ticketed. And so I look at this journey of Juneteenth and that promise of freedom, right? And I look at the work all of us are doing right now and I'm asking, what is the door that we have to open? What is the freedom of movement or freedom of expression or freedom of opportunity that we have to provide? Because even though we look at Juneteenth, we also makes us remember that 1964 civil rights legislation, when it ended American apartheid, I was 3. So we're only talking one generation, right? Juneteenth to 1964, right? And so 1865 to 100 years. And so Juneteenth means to me the journey that we're still on. But Juneteenth also means that other people are now hearing about our journey, right? We didn't know our journey, and now the world, the country is learning our journey. And so that's what Juneteenth for me is, just a realization of the truth of our journey, recognizing our history and the American journey. And I think it's just a beautiful and wonderful thing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I guess I'll chime in last, and kind of aligned with Alonzo is saying is that I believe truly that Juneteenth is a celebration of opportunity. Our ancestors were allowed to gift us a different life than that which they had to live and survive through. And, DPC had mentioned, the reform and the ability to sit in that seat and to be able to make those changes. I was one of the principal writers to the reform, and to sit in that room and just to kind of sit and feel and think of like, did my ancestors know I'd be here?
Right.
And it was just something that was just, I don't know, the depth. I hadn't felt that much responsibility to them sitting in that room because of everything that they lived through so that I could be there. And so, just thinking of Juneteenth, thinking of the opportunities that we were given, it just really is something that, I don't know, it's so, you feel it. You feel it. But that's what it is to me. It's a celebration of opportunity.
Thank you. And for me, it comes to, what comes to mind is resiliency, right?
Yeah.
The pure resilience. So thank you for sharing. And we have some commentary, Portia, right? That was deep. So yes, right. It's a little emotional, right? But right, I'm glad we're having this conversation, this dialogue. So in what ways do you or your family celebrate Juneteenth? Anyone want to go first?
I'll chime in. I'll reverse. Growing up, I didn't really celebrate Juneteenth, but because I'm growing my own little family, I have an 11-month-old. And so, yeah. And so, it's now my responsibility to educate her, right? So as DPC said, like, I'm on Google, like, how do we honor our ancestors? How do we look forward? How do we really, make sure we are celebrating this as informed and as best as possible? So, I look into different events, how to patron different entrepreneurs of African descent, trying to understand more and build on the history that I currently understand of our ancestors. And so I can teach that to her. But that's how I really, celebrate Juneteenth, is through patroning businesses, learning more of the history, and just looking to be with community.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and for me, it's a situation where, going back to what I mentioned earlier, where, there was a lack of knowledge about the history behind Juneteenth. There really wasn't much celebration. I just remember several years ago, a coworker, one of my wife's coworkers had mentioned something about it to my wife, and she had a function at her home where it was just a wonderful day, right? A day of music and celebration and food and history. And it was a wonderful day, but those days, in my own experience, were few and far in between as far as celebrating Juneteenth. But again, with events like this and with the knowledge and the information that's out right now, and now it's a national holiday, I will be celebrating a whole lot more, educating myself, my family, and my loved ones. And I'm looking forward to doing some things in the future to kind of make up for what I didn't celebrate in the past.
Yes.
I think one thing I'm gonna do to celebrate Juneteenth with my family is, food, right? So,
Yes.
I mean, the one thing we have from beginning to now is food, right?
Mhm.
Collard greens,
Yes.
cornbread, candied yams,
Yes.
right? When I was talking to my daughter is a prosecutor in National DA's office, and she said, to the department, she wants to have a Juneteenth celebration at the DA's office.
Mm.
And so she wrote in the family chat, what food should she, order? And so she had like chicken, et cetera. And of course, we're being funny. We were saying you should put in chitlins, you put in some pig feet,
Black eyed peas.
some chicken feet,
She took it there. She really
chicken
took it there.
skins,
Right.
and then explained, we had to eat the body part, leftovers, but we made it taste delicious. And so we were just laughing, so I think food, is our celebration too, because there's a direct link. Well, whatever we don't know,
Mhm.
we got that food.
Right.
That is a
Soul
direct link.
food. Food for
Soul
the soul.
food. It's
Right.
it's a direct link, those recipes. So ours will be about food, of course,
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes.
and talking about the history of the food, right?
I want to just add two very brief comments. One is when Martin Luther King Day became a national holiday, it shed a light around America. And now America, after the debate of whether we should have a celebration of Martin Luther King or not, now America shares that celebration. The same thing has occurred now here with Juneteenth. It has become a national holiday. And what I wanted to share is let's not use the holiday just to take the day off,
Mhm.
but let's use the holiday to bring about awareness. Some of my greatest teaching didn't come from Fordham University. Some of my greatest teaching came from sitting with my grandmother every Friday night with fish and grits.
Mhm.
And we watched Sanford and Son, and we watched Good Time.
Come on. Come on.
And
Right.
it was from those conversations that I found out about Jackie Robinson and her famous Dodgers who moved to Brooklyn, to Ebbets Field. I got that from my grandmother. I learned about Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay from my grandmother. I learned about our history of the Chesters and the generation and from which we all came from just sitting every Friday night, fish and grits, and don't forget the biscuits.
Right.
Yeah, that we used to slop in syrup. Yeah, so take these moments to sit down with your children and educate them and share with them and make them aware. Let your light shine. I like that, DP. Lighting a candle. Let your light shine so that others may see your good works.
Can I just say, just like you said, Reverend, is all of you on the call, you don't have to be navigating life in Black skin to celebrate. You got to celebrate with us.
Right.
There's plenty of Black restaurants in Suffolk County. Go get some food.
Mhm.
Find out the history of our food, because the history of our food is our history.
Absolutely.
And so, frequent a restaurant. That's a great idea. Go frequent a restaurant. Get yourself some shrimp and grits,
Yeah.
or fish and grits.
Whiteys and porgies.
That's right, right. That's right. Go get yourself some white or some catfish. Don't forget the catfish.
Oh yeah.
Some fried catfish. Go get yourself some food, people, and then Google the history of that food and where it came from and the part of the South it came from.
Mhm.
My family's from Savannah, Georgia. We're having a reunion this summer. We're going to go back to the plantation that our family was on, and Mentionville, the little town we all moved to after enslavement, and built. Not a town, it's more like a 1 mile radius or 50 feet. But the bottom line is go celebrate, celebrate with us. Don't think just the people on this call who navigate life in Black skin. I want everybody on this call to ask yourself how you can celebrate Juneteenth along with us and learn a little bit more and hopefully eat some new food.
Yes. Yes,
Now I'm
yes,
hungry.
yes, right? So in the chat, Felicia's giving out some recommendations. Bayview Kitchen in Amityville, Island Soul in Lindenhurst, Brooklyn Fish and Wine Dance. So, right, enjoy. You can go and celebrate, support a Black-owned business, right? But we, that awareness, right, and that inclusiveness, right, is what is definitely needed. So before we jump to the next question, right, there was some commentary in the chat as far as what Juneteenth means, right? So Commissioner Dawn Lott said pride, hope, perseverance, right? So some of those words, right, really hold weight. All right, so thank you for sharing. We have someone who mentioned, kind of what they do on Juneteenth, right, to celebrate. Drummers, right, music, engaging, right, in the culture. So thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Can I jump in real quickly just for one second?
Sure.
So in the comments, one of my good friends from childhood, his name is Daryl, and I have to shout him out real quick. He commented that I had a great opportunity to film Miss Opal Lee, a pioneer and considered the grandmother of Juneteenth while living in Texas. The film is now showing in many Black film festivals. It's called The Last to Know.
Awesome.
That's from my good friend Daryl Gibson.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
check that out, The Last to Know.
Excellent.
Definitely will. So we have one more question. Yes, thank you, everyone. So now that Juneteenth is a national holiday in the United States, what do you think the significance is for Americans? Anyone want to jump?
Okay, I'll jump in. So I believe that now that it's a national holiday, I believe it's an excellent opportunity for America really to reflect back on who we are, right? What the past was all about, what we're doing currently, and where we want to go as a country, right? And we need to really look at our history, fully look at our history, the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? The good and the bad and the ugly. And I'll just say this, that I love this country, right? I was born here, I live here. I wore the uniform to fight for this country, okay? I love this country. But with that being said, we have to be honest about the history and look at the parts of our history which are not always so pretty and patriotic. I'll say that again. Some parts of our history are not always pretty and patriotic. So this is not just an African-American history story. This is an American history story, right? So you look back at where we've come from, and this is our opportunity to really come together, understand the mistakes that we made in the past, the things that we got wrong in the past, right? And then move forward with new opportunities, working together, working in concert on different initiatives, right? Understanding that we got it wrong before, but now we have the opportunity to do it the right way. So look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it's all there, and it's not always pretty and patriotic.
Yes. Portia, would you like to share?
Yeah, so I think that Juneteenth, in regards to how Americans will see or potentially interact with it, has the potential to be a huge player in the reconciling, as Alonzo was saying, of our history, because Black history is American history.
Right.
And until we even acknowledge that, to the degree in which should be acknowledged, we really cannot make enough strides forward. Us all on this call have been, have all done our parts in the parts we have played, and we are living history ourselves, as well as many of the people that are watching us right now. And we are a part of that reconciling, but there are many Americans that will not educate themselves and be a player in that reconciling. So I hope that the exposure of Juneteenth to all people will be cause for people to look more into the history, how it history within the scope of United States history, and all that all that has resulted and all that preceded it. So I believe that we do have the opportunity to to have more of that healing process occur as people understand Juneteenth.
Thank you.
I think one of the things I always think about is people want us to they're like, well, it was 100 years. I did a presentation yesterday, and I talked about the fact that American apartheid ended, officially legally, when I was 3 in 1961. And I had one of the people in the audience go, well, that's a long time ago. And I was like, it's one long time ago. And I was there to talk about something else. So I just told him, I don't have time for this right now. But it was really, I didn't really want to, there was so much I wanted to get into. But I guess what Juneteenth means is, let's stop trying to, I kind of look at it like an abusive relationship where you love your mother, your father, your whomever, you love them, but they beat you. They deny you food. They lock you out of the house. They won't drive you places and make you walk. They wear nice clothes and won't give you nice clothes. It's a journey of a relationship of parent and child, because we are the children of America, right? I wrote a poem once about Uncle Sam, Uncle Sam and Aunt Justice, right? And so, we had this journey of an abusive relationship where you love somebody, but they don't treat you equally or fairly. But they keep telling you, it's over, forget about it. Yeah, I abuse you, whatever I did, it's over, it's done. And any one of you on this call, many of you have experienced that, where someone does something terrible to you and they wanted to just say, you get over it, it's over. You'll know, we gotta talk about this. We gotta reconcile this. Like Portia said, there has to be some reconciliation. And Juneteenth should be and should represent the beginning of that reconciliation conversation. Let's talk about, because the 2-year delay from 1863 to 1865, that delay is the same delay from 1865 to 1965, right? It's a 100-year delay.
Right.
And so let's reconcile, let's talk about that reconciliation so we can be healed, because a lot of people didn't have that journey really with us because it wasn't out loud. Nobody heard about it. We didn't talk about it. But now Juneteenth is here, so we can talk about what happened to us, right? And so this is a time for that reconciliation. Like you said, Portia, I think it really is a time to talk about what happened. And not to say you did this or somebody did this to me, but just to say this happened to me. And can you understand why I may not walk as well as you, or I may not talk as well as you, I may not move as well as you, because I'm still reeling from my generational trauma. And so that's what Juneteenth means to me, because Juneteenth is different from Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King said civil rights happened, right? Martin Luther King said civil rights happened, but Juneteenth said 100 years of apartheid happened. And that has never been said. And this is the reconciliation and the truthful conversation about what happened to us as a people. And so that's what it should mean, I hope, is us really taking the time to understand what happened so that we can all be okay.
Thank you. Reverend Pearson.
Martin King had a dream that the sons of slave owners would sit down with the sons of slaves, Protestants and Catholics, Jews and Gentiles, would be able to sit down at the table. He writes in that same speech that if America is going to be a great nation, then these truths must be self-evident, that all men are created equal, if America is going to be great, then let freedom ring in every classroom. Let freedom ring in every hospital and every medical facility. Let freedom ring in every community. Let it ring in Buffalo. Let it ring in Texas. Let it ring in South Carolina. Let freedom become who America really is. Let freedom ring like the waters that are stream rushing over and over. Let freedom ring, because freedom has to be equal, inclusive. It has to be diverse. Freedom has to be love. It has to be hope. It has to be one people, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let freedom ring from every mountaintop. And that's what we must make Juneteenth. That's what we must make every opportunity we can, to preach, to teach freedom, that the young boys and girls seek an alternative to drugs and alcohol, and an alternative to the prison pipeline. Let freedom ring in Wyandanch, in Sayville. Let freedom ring in Central Islip and Huntington. Let freedom ring. Yeah. And in every bodega, in every shopping center. Let freedom ring in every church. Let freedom ring. We must stop and really reflect on what makes America great, and what our forefathers, when they wrote the words of the Constitution. And so let freedom ring in your heart, in your life. God bless all of you. This has been a wonderful lunch and learn. And I hope that we have shared something from our history and our culture that will make you see us in the light that we are God's children, as all of us are. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Reverend Pearson. And thank you to all of the amazing panelists for sharing your perspective, your story, right? I think we all had an opportunity to learn, myself included, right? This was such an enlightening program, right? And I just challenge our attendees and our audience, the youth, because they need to know, right? Someone mentioned in the chat just now, being hopeful that Juneteenth is something that, educators incorporate into their curriculum. But let's go a step beyond that, right? We as, parents, aunties, cousins, sisters, mentors, right? Let's do our necessary work, right? So that our youth have an opportunity to learn about something that is not often talked about. So this concludes our Juneteenth Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much for the panelists again. Thank you, Retha, for putting this together. It was such an amazing and wonderful opportunity to get to know our colleagues, right, first-handedly. So thank you again. If anyone has any last bit of words that you kind of want to add to it.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. It was a pleasure and an honor to be here with you and to share this panel with you. You guys are brilliant. You're amazing.
I just want to say, go shine, go share the light of information you heard today. Research and learn more so you can share that, and frequent a business that serves, is Black owned, and go get some food and ask them the history of that food.
With the
Thank
food
you.
again. Here we go with the food.
Listen,
I'm starving. I'm starving.
hey, thank you all for coming. We really enjoyed this and I really appreciate all you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the comments in the chat also.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you, everyone.
So Monday, don't forget the Jubilee celebration. On
Yes, Monday is Jubilee.
we will have food.
Absolutely. Food, music, entertainment, and opportunity to learn and engage and connect and network. So yes, all of those who are still on, please, please, please come out, celebrate, join us, spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.